when I, as I said, did not get to negotiate on my first salary, at least because it was kind of like defined, saying that at fresher levels we don't really talk. We have a policy to not negotiate. I somewhere felt that yeah, I deserve more, right? And to that extent, when I moved into my second job, then I had this mentality that come what may, I'm not probably going to go in if my terms are not met.
Hello and welcome to the first 2 years. I am Akshaya Chandrasekaran. Today we have a classic conundrum for you: negotiating starting salaries. There is one school of thought that essentially says the organization is taking a chance on you, you have no experience or body of work to back you, so no negotiations, just take up what comes your way. And there is this another school of thought where they strongly believe you must negotiate because your starting salary calibrates all your future raises and bonuses. Meaning, if you don't negotiate your first offer, it's going to impact you in the long term. Deepankan is a data engineer. He converted one of his internships into his first ever full time job at a logistics company. But when he did, there was no conversation about compensation. Just an offer letter landed in his email inbox. He could either accept or reject. There was no in between.
I kind of try to have a conversation with my lead and manager. Let's discuss on the salary that probably I'll be entering on. But then, as freshers, you normally do not have that, let's say, free hand at times, right? I did mention, for example, that I've been already working on this stack for a year. I know the business fairly well in terms of what is expected and what is not. So would that then be possible with this context? But then, yeah, it was pretty much a hard no from the business side of it. So yeah.
Did you somewhat uh, feel dejected that there was no scope for negotiation? Because it's hard getting a hard no, right? And this is the first time you're doing something.
Yeah, I think it would be wrong to say that someone would not feel rejected, right? Because you obviously have hopes and expectations, at least when it comes to the compensation part of things, right? And every one of us sees that as at least a key element that drives our satisfaction to some extent.
On today's show, we talk to compensations and rewards specialists with decades of experience, Mansee Singhal of Mercer and Roopank Chaudhary of Aon, to try and understand how to negotiate, how much to negotiate, and where is the line. Especially in what's being called now the employer's market, where unlike Dipankan, most fresh graduates are finding it difficult to not just crack internships, but even harder to turn them into full-time jobs.
And I'm actually going to offer you an employer's view. Employees or candidates who hardball on the extent of negotiation that they want to do for an entry level pay actually are not viewed very favorably. And I'll tell you why.
Don't go anywhere. Like anybody who's ever trying to answer any question these days, I went straight to ChatGPT and asked how to negotiate starting salaries. A simple question.
Negotiating a starting salary can feel daunting, but with the right approach, you can increase your chances of securing a better offer. Here's a step-by-step guide to help you navigate the process, research, and prepare.
Of course, it was just typing this back to me. We have added the voice because, a podcast. But anyway, it wrote reams of essays about tips and tricks, negotiation tactics, questions to ask, things to think about, statistics, probability, and just so much information. And everything just felt very overwhelming, theoretical, and very ChatGPT. If I did or said any of this to a recruiter in real life, I would simply lose the job. So instead, I decided to cut the chase and go to real experts. Because negotiation isn't a theory that can be imbibed and put into practice, it is something that's filled with so much tension. In fact, I found some research studies online that said being likable is the number one reason to negotiations going your way. So imagine that. You have to say what you want, but you still should seem flexible and open minded. You have to keep at it, but without coming across as a nuisance. There's just a lot of things to think about and a lot of ways in which you can approach this problem. But before that, I had some unanswered questions for Deepankan. Actually, I kind of want to know like what made you ask or try to negotiate for the first time, right? Like they have told you that this is it, this is the offer letter, you saw the number on it, and what made you want to go and ask them for more?
In India, at least, a lot of the negotiations happen based on what you earn or what you made at your last job. And as such, if you have a good start already, then it gives you a
Yeah.
lot of leverage. I would say to an extent a head start, right? Because otherwise you'll have a lot of complications dealing and trying to explain why you deserve a certain amount and you're underpaid at the previous job.
Was that it? That all the future salary or whatever number that comes after this will kind of hinge on this number? Is that it? Or is there something that is more like a personal, like what was happening? Because this is something that you'll only know in hindsight, right? So I was wondering if there was some personal thing that was happening at work at that point in time that made you want to ask.
So what I saw was the role that I am doing today is possibly overlapping quite significantly, if not matching, my next senior job level. And I thought if they're getting paid X amount, why would I probably come in at a comparatively lesser pay level than that if I'm doing basically the same thing?
Did you also like instinctively feel like if you don't negotiate, then you will be lowballed? That this is like conventional wisdom, right? You need to ask for it. If you don't ask for it, then they're not going to pay you enough.
Yeah, that does happen. I think let's be very objective about it, right? I mean, it's kind of like a transaction, right? I mean, you as a job seeker, you're trying to maximize your gains, whereas from the other end, the business finance or HRs, they would obviously try to save cost. The kind of planned budget they have, yeah, versus the actual cost they incur. And that's a KPI for them. For me, the KPI probably would be how much can I maximize my own salary that I negotiate at the end. So that is how it is. Yeah.
Since then, Dipankan has moved to another wind energy company in a similar role. But this time, he could negotiate. Something he couldn't do the first time as a fresh graduate. But even now, he says he couldn't get exactly what he wanted, but it was somewhat in the ballpark of it. Now that you've done it for the first time, like you switched to another job, right? In hindsight, what was the most confusing thing about this negotiation process? Something you wish you had known but you didn't? Because if I could pose your question to someone who is an expert in this, then what would you ask?
How do you know what is the breaking point for the organization, right? What is some number that they really cannot afford to go beyond, right? So obviously, with intuition and a significant experience, you kind of as an interview yourself understand that. But then at least for me, I'm still learning that because it's just been one negotiation that I've been part of, one job search that I've been a part of, and while that gave me a lot of knowledge, maybe the experts have a different lens to it. So I think if we get some understanding on that front, I think that would be super good.
Dipankan wants to know what's the breaking point. What's the hard stop? How do you find that out? Because you cannot explicitly ask. So, are there any implicit tactics you can employ? I asked Mansee Singhal all these questions as to how to negotiate your starting salary, and her answer was simple. You simply cannot. Wait, is there a reason why companies don't allow freshers to negotiate, besides the obvious ones, of course? Because my initial hypothesis was like, how to negotiate your starting salary, right? And now I stand corrected because now it's turning into a can you even do that at this point in time with everything that's going on? So, and everyone I spoke to, even though they're not on the podcast, even the people I reached out to just to get a sense of what's going on, almost everyone in HR is like, who even negotiates starting salary?
you haven't spent enough time in your job or career to know fully well what's your extent of contribution, right? And you hardball yourself too much, or you over-index on a number that you want and things like that. It sometimes demonstrates that you're just joining a bandwagon from a negotiation standpoint, not knowing fully well what the job or the employment ecosystem is offering you, right? So my suggestion then therefore always rests in the remit of try and get a sense of the overall ecosystem a little bit better, rather than hardballing on that number of sorts, right? And have an open conversation.
Not just Mansee, even Roopank Chaudhary said negotiating starting salaries in this job market may not be such a good idea.
So, it's a double edged sword. On one end, I would tell somebody that getting a job is important. Don't focus too much about the money. The money eventually comes in, right? I mean, what is important is for you to get the right level of experience and the right skill set. Okay. But it is also a fact that your starting salary will have an impact on where you end up, because where you start, most companies will look at where you are to give you an increment on that. So if you start at 100 and you go at a 20% hike, you start at 120. But if you start at 50, by the time you reach 120, you will struggle. So I hear this a lot from people across, different sectors, that, oh, I got shortchanged when I joined this company because I didn't negotiate for a higher salary, and it's taken me 5 years to come here. I would say that it's a tightrope, but you have to walk it. Do not only look for money. As you rightly said, getting a job is important. And if it's for the right skill set, the right exposure is very good. And give yourself 2 to 3 years to reach a stage where you can command some premium, but
That's
should
so
not be
good, yeah.
beyond that. Because if for a longer time, for let's say almost 5 years, you are stuck at a lower base pay, you will really find it difficult to then get to a level which you think is commensurate with your level after 10 years. So that is very important.
See, this is useful because I think we are getting somewhere. Because, okay, you can't negotiate your starting salary as a fresher, but also don't overstay your welcome at the company for a long time with a low base pay, because then you're just there in it for a long time. It's hard to pivot and all of that, right? So you're suggesting 3 years as the upper limit. Also, the second time, if I were to do this, when I'm switching jobs, that is probably the only other window for negotiation, right? It's probably when I can properly negotiate. And the conventional wisdom is just say no to the first number that's being offered, because you run the risk of being lowballed. So, what would you say to something like that? What should I do the second time? Say if I get a chance to negotiate.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. I mean, see, we're not talking about CXOs, we're not talking about CEOs, we're not talking about senior management, we're talking about entry, or let's say 1 or 2 years, even after your experience. The negotiation is usually, I mean, there's no, I can't give an exact number, but it could be 5%, 10%, at best 15%. I mean, I would really be surprised to find somebody who can negotiate a 20% change, right, in the comp.
Oh my god. 5 to 10%, that's way lesser than I expected.
It's not only negotiation on your fixed salary, you could negotiate on your bonus, you could negotiate on incentive, you can negotiate for location. Okay, fine, I'm not getting what I wanted, and then can I work out of your Delhi office because it's cheaper than Bombay? Cost of living is lower, right? See, you also have to be astute enough. My challenge is not about negotiating. My challenge is that are people able to understand their compensation package when they're joining companies? For example, it has a lot of variance. There is basic salary, there are allowances, there is something with a bonus. Many people don't see the part that the bonus is variable. It may or may not come to you, right? Target bonuses, if you meet your target, you will get this amount. Now, is it part of your salary or is it outside your salary? Are retirals, your profit from gratuity, are they inside your total comp or they outside, right? Some companies even put in the training cost inside their overall salary. People don't see that because your increments are always going to be on your basic or your fixed salary, right? So it's important to be able to see what is my fixed salary, what is my bonus, what are my allowances, what is my other learning and learning and development costs. So to that point, you can negotiate on that overall package. That okay, give me a higher fixed salary. Don't give me a joining bonus. Joining bonus is gone. Is gone. Give me a higher fixed salary. Don't give me variable pay because my increments will happen on my fixed salary. So those, I think, people need to be educated on those areas on how to look at their comp package.
A weak labor market has left people looking for jobs with fewer options and less leverage. And employers are better positioned to dictate terms. People in the first 2 years have it even worse when it comes to bargaining power. But that doesn't prevent job seekers like Dipankan from trying. At least trying to have some say in the terms and conditions of employment, especially paycheck. So I'm trying to understand what's your what according to you do you stand to lose if you don't negotiate?
So I think, given the risk that I just explained on this front, I think it's totally worth it to go there and at least explore the zone. Because if you don't, you're possibly going to switch and then also have a regret that you did not negotiate enough, and then probably spend the rest of your time in that company thinking, oh, when do I switch next? Which is very unproductive. You don't do yourself a favor, and you also do the company that you are now working for a disservice, because you are not really thinking about how to contribute, but you're thinking about how to kind of jump out of that ship again, which is unfair. Uh, so I think of it that way.
After the break, we find out if there is anything job seekers can do to control the outcome in a salary negotiation, especially in an employer's market.
Hi, I'm Praveen Gopalkrishnan, co-host of the Ken's brand new business podcast, 2x2. For months, everyone who works at a startup has been telling me the same story. It's a story that begins with the line, I don't know what's the point of all this anymore. I've met several senior executives. They've either quit their jobs, they're on a career break, and others are in a process of quitting and negotiating sabbaticals. I've heard stories about founders and co-founders who confess that they no longer feel much joy or satisfaction in what they're doing. But they really see no option but to continue running on the treadmill. There are other people who are much younger in their career, often in their 20s, and they're throwing all their energies, creativity, and focus not in work, but in retiring from work. Not to get a safety net to pursue work that they love, but just simply to retire. There's an entire generation of people inside startups who are weary, tired, and see no purpose. These are smart, talented, ambitious people who were once excited and found meaning in work. And it's not just them. For a long time, startups created products and services that dramatically changed the way we buy, ride, learn, create, invest, or express ourselves. Not any longer. So why has all the excitement and disruption gone out of startups? 2x2 is a podcast where we take questions like this and try to find answers. In the latest episode, Rohin, who's my other co-host, and we talked to Mansee Singhal, who's the founder of Next Big What, and to Professor Saurav Mukherjee from IIM Bangalore. Fun fact, Professor Saurav Mukherjee actually taught me when I was in B school. So it's fun to get him back on the show to get him on the other side. You can click on the link in the show notes to listen to the episode, or you can simply type 2x2 wherever you get your podcast. Now, back to your show.
Mansee, when I approached you for the episode, the first thing you told me is you just don't like the word negotiation and you're a compensation specialist. So I just want to understand why. What's your, what do you hate about it?
Negotiate, but negotiate for the right things, right? There is no upper limit to how much a person can ever get paid. If you will ask anybody today, are you happy with your pay? The answer is likely to be no. So therefore, negotiation in the remit of what more can I get for this job, probably we can turn this around on its head to say what more can I get, from this job, and not just in the remit of but really how best can I use this as a stepping stone to every other job that I'm going to take up in my life. I think that's where I come from. And that's why I said that, because if employers start getting into the dialogue of negotiation and start negotiating on the kind of outputs that they're looking for, and they start negotiating, hey, but I don't want to hire 3 people for this job, but only 2. it'll be a tussle, and healthy ecosystems do not work very well when we are in the midst of this tussle.
Actually, to be like completely honest, right? I kind of empathize with the job seekers because a lot of these core principles kind of like, optimize for this, optimize for learning, don't talk about salary or all of that kind of go out of the window because there are so many people chasing so few entry level positions, and it's become so tough to stand out in the job market. And so obviously there is this self preservation sort of like, I feel like, I'll be lowballed if in this market especially people will try to not pay me because all of that is going on, right? Even students from IITs and IIMs are struggling to find jobs of their choice, and most internships are not converting into like jobs and all of that. So that's where I'm coming from.
So I'll first take a step back and say a couple of years back, post COVID, when there was a great resignation of sorts, it was completely an employee's market, isn't it? Who benefited from it? Not many people did benefit from it. Organizations didn't benefit from it. Employees who were actually changing jobs at the drop of a hat, I'm pretty sure they were also not benefiting from it, because you take a quick jump and you see that, okay, what's the number that I can really command right now, and then in a couple of months or in a couple of years, there is a complete sense of, probably I didn't make the right choice. So there is toggling between an employers and employee market, honestly doesn't do good to anybody in the ecosystem. I think we really need to operate with a lot more confidence and trust between what organizations are looking for and what employees are looking for, and honestly, that's a significant shift that I have seen in the overall construct of what people look for from their jobs as well.
Yeah. In a way, like the market is correcting itself, right? As it should. I understand, but and reaching a middle ground also sounds great. But I'm going to switch gears a little bit and go back to the negotiation conversation, right? Given everything we have discussed in this environment, what's the breaking point for employers? Should I just not broach the negotiation conversation itself? What should be the line while negotiating? I really want to arrive at a realistic answer for this question, right?
What's the typical pay range for this job looking like, and where is my fitment in this pay range? And people are often open about it, right? So if you were to think of a pay range as quartiles, essentially it's good to be placed somewhere above the first quartile if you're a new candidate in the role, right? And first quartile typically means that 25% of the data points are going to be lower, or 25% of data points are lower than that particular number. Then it becomes the first quartile in the pay range. So it's good to be a little above the first quartile in the pay range, and then it gives you a huge amount of scope that you could, over a period of time, can move to median of the pay range, third quartile of the pay range, and so on and so forth. Now, I do understand this is a very statistical answer, but the reason I'm trying to bring this in is, it's important to know. It also gives you a fairness index, right? It's important to know that as you're early in your career and you're also early in your job, it may actually help you to be placed comfortably. So definitely within the pay range that the job commands, but has a tremendous amount of scope for growth, right? It's not advisable to keep pushing for, let's say, a median placement or a third quartile placement, unless there are very specific skill sets that a person is actually bringing to the table, which is right, like really commanding a significant premium in the market, and so on and so forth.
Okay, last but one, actually. It's a very tactical question, and like it's my follow up to what you were just saying, right? What if the role doesn't come with a pay range? Because not all companies are transparent with their pay packages. Then I kind of have to rely on Glassdoor and other websites like that.
I would think it's a point in time salary, and I'll tell you what I mean. When you're working on a job, for a particular job, that job may have people from 2 years or 3 years or 5 years of experience working in the same job. So it's a range that gets reported, and that's why organizations look at very formal, statistically analyzed data that for a given job, what is the extent and the range looking like. Glassdoor is a user based thing, right? So my salary at a given point in time, a given point in time data input is usually not a very comprehensive input. Now, that given point in time data could be by virtue of, that it was a stress hire. or it was really either a stress hire from an employer standpoint or a stress hiring from an employee standpoint, then it could actually boil down to what was the circumstance by virtue of which the employee landed that number. So it's, you could browse through it just to get a general sense of the market. Should you base your decision on it? Absolutely not.
Yeah, it's probably not the most accurate, but when there is no pay transparency from the company side, there is no like range or anything mentioned, and it's very hard to gauge from your conversations with HR, then there are no other sources of secondary information. So you automatically just resort, right?
A good conversation to have and a good input that you should probably use is if you have if you have people in the organization that you have applied for, and that will give you a much wider view of the organization to say, not just the salary number, because obviously the person who's already working there may have the benefit of tenure with the firm. So never ever discount the tenure with the firm, because the more you spend time with the organization, the more you build an internal equity with the organization. So never ever discount that. But the person who's working with the firm could actually give you a very fair view of what is it to work with a firm like this. That you should never discount, because it really gives you a good feel of the organization to say what's the culture looking like, will I have my personal resonance with this firm, and so on and so forth. And also a good input to say, over a period of time that I've spent with this firm, this is what they look for, this is the kind of career growth that you can expect. Lot of times in India still career growth is akin to vertical movement and akin to and therefore the price hike or the pay hike that you can command, right? I think slowly and gradually we'll move away from it so that we can actually provide a lot of horizontal experiences to employees as well, and we are getting there over a period of time. But if at all you want some secondary information, ideally it makes sense to speak to people who are with the firm, because they are the best advocate or otherwise in terms of cultural performance, growth nuance that you can expect from the firm.
Dipankan, if you had the opportunity to set the clock back, right, what would you do differently? Would you just learn to accept that starting salaries are not negotiable, or would you have just wanted to negotiate more?
Ideally, yes, if I had that leg room to chat and discuss on that, right? I think that's something which I personally feel everyone should do, right? Of course, given there are limitations as a fresher, you cannot do a lot of things. There is a very steep power gradient, in my opinion, at least, because you are someone who is just coming into the industry. You are someone who would want to gain that experience, be in that position, and from the other end, maybe you're dealing with experts from talent acquisition and business payroll who are like maybe what 5-10 years into the game already. They understand the psyche of how candidates probably want to negotiate, and as such, it's as I said, it's a very steep power gradient. So there's very little you possibly can do. But then at least it is good to have it in the back of your mind that let's just give it a shot. It doesn't really hurt you. It doesn't really cost you much, but at least let's give it a shot and see if possibly we could raise our compensation.
Thank you to Dipankan for reaching out to us. Hope some of these tips make you feel like you could give it a shot too, despite the power dynamic, despite the job market. Good luck to anyone in between jobs listening to this podcast right now. Thank you to Mansee and Roopank for all the wonderful advice. If you like this episode, definitely check out the previous episode on making the case for your first promotion. We discussed whether or not promotions are by default or do you need to ask for it. We'll put a link in the show notes. How about you? Do you have a problem that needs solving in the first 2 years? Especially transitioning out of it? Send me a note at akshaya@the-ken.com. That's akshaya@the-ken.com. Or simply take the form, also linked in the show notes. We would love to have you on the show. And if you like what you heard today, please give us a rating and a review and tell a friend. Because let's be honest, we all have a friend who's looking for a job right now. So send them this show. This episode was written, hosted and produced by me, Akshaya Chandrasekaran, and sound engineering is by Rajiv CN. See you next Tuesday with another episode.